Well, hello, friends. This is Dick Foth again with Stories from the Road. And today I'm talking to my friend Anders Lindwall. Hi, Anders. How are you?
Hey, Dick. Yeah, doing great. Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Oh, my joy. And I wanted to talk to you because this is a little time-sensitive podcast. A lot of times we put them out at different times. Doesn't make any difference. But this one has to do with something that's happening just around the corner. But before we get there, let me back up and say, so where was Anders born?
So I was born in a little town called Iron River, Michigan. It was the same town my dad was born in. And, it's a town of 3,000 people right on the Wisconsin, upper Michigan border. A lot of folks don't know that Michigan has the two peninsulas, and it gets lost on some of the maps, but it's kind of, I feel like it might always be my home where I was born. I know that's not the case for everybody, but for me, it feels very much like deeply embedded in my DNA.
So folks from Colorado who are listening, when they say, boy, it's really cold, they don't have any idea.
No, this is springtime. This is spring break weather for me right now, for sure.
We're in the low 20s, going to be one below tonight.
If I see drips coming off, that means it's March or April in my book.
That's right. Good. So you grew up, went on to college, and what did you major in college? Just real quickly.
Yeah, so I majored in narrative cinema, so the storytelling part of movies.
Okay. All right. And so here we are some years later, and you're married to a lovely lady, Claire, and you've got these wonderful children and Merton the dog, the German short hair, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So you recently, within the last couple of years, have produced, and I don't know how long it took to get there, but you wrote a screenplay because you're a videographer. You've done a variety of things with video and telling stories, but you wrote a screenplay. Did you always have it in your heart to write a screenplay? And do I have that terminology right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you got it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I've always, it was a high school teacher who got me into this film.
Okay.
And then, I think there's no direct path. It's not like becoming a doctor or, getting into some other semi-normal profession where there's a path to it. When you say I want to make movies or I want to write and direct, it's a really ambiguous path how everybody gets there, and they get at it, those who stick around long enough to get a chance to do it. It's just a matter of finding your way however it is. And, it's kind of clawing, scratching, hanging on for dear life for 20 plus years. And so, yeah, we make a living doing commercials. That's how we pay the bills.
Okay.
And so it ended up being, but it was always, it's like you're trying to keep the dream alive while you're paying the bills and doing this thing. And so we were always developing, I say we, it's my brother and myself,
okay,
developing stories on the side. And, we're doing that for brands, really. We're kind of doing the same type of thing. You're trying to understand a story that connects to an audience. And so there is a lot of overlap between commercial storytelling and what we were doing. So it ended up being one of our commercial clients he owned a NASCAR team and saw the work we were doing, and he really loved it. Because he had seen a lot of different commercial filmmakers over the years work for him and his company. And he's like, there's something you guys have that it just gives me chills, gives me tears, and you do it really economically. He's like, what else are you guys doing? And so we told him, at that point, we had been pitching different stories over the years, and we had this story. It was originally called God Loves the Green Bay Packers.
So, and where's if I can just interrupt for just a second, when was the embryo or the genesis of that idea? God Loves the Green Bay Packers. Yeah,
that genesis, man, it's hard to tell. Some of these, because you kind of get these seeds that are given to you.
Right.
I consider them kind of divinely ordained, and some of them, these seeds grow, and then these other ones kind of sit and incubate for years, and some of them get chopped down and die. I think this one was probably around like 2017, if I had to guess.
Okay, and you then wrote a screenplay around this idea.
Well, we didn't know. So our process is a little bit different than maybe some other people's. Our
okay,
process was we have this idea, we then actually build like an inspiration trailer around it. And so
okay,
what that is it means we rip, different scenes from different movies other people have done, and we make what we think is the feeling of our movie.
okay.
And so you're essentially, and you have little text that kind of narrates through.
Yeah.
And so that,
And
but then
I saw that one, and
you did.
it
Okay.
did produce a feeling.
Yeah, which is kind
It
of
did make me want to root differently for the 49ers, but
you
Scott,
understood. Yeah, and we're not here to convert. We're not here to convert people to Packers fans. But yeah, I think that for whatever reason, that's just our process. Because it actually, when you're trying to concisely tell a story, you are writing story structure.
sure.
And so, we have this rip trailer, and then we actually go to then building out scenes. So we wrote out 70 or 80 scenes. And then what we did is we hired my friend, who's the most voracious reader I know. And I said, let me book you a hotel for 3 nights and you just write. And here's the outline, here's the feeling, and that's what he did. So that was how we got our first draft, is
So,
him collaborating with me.
so you gave him the ideas, but he actually wrote the script or
He wrote the first draft, and then I went in and I worked with him on that draft. And then so I'm technically like the first screenwriter on record. He's the second one, and then we ended up hiring two other people along the journey, to help. We hired a Wisconsin guy to help give us extra Wisconsin ammunition in the story, and then,
Kurt's in way. Yeah, I get it.
exactly, yeah. And then we hired another woman, a friend of our producer, Erin Boyd, who she's just really polished and understands, yeah, kind of real, true screenwriting format to help us kind of do the final polish on it.
Okay, so that working title of God Loves the Green Bay Packers has now turned into Green and Gold,
Yes.
and it's an actual movie that has been funded and made. And,
Yep.
and recently, in the last few months, you took it to several film festivals, one in Indianapolis. Do I have that right?
Yep. Correct. Yeah, that's Heartland International Film Festival.
And how did that go?
Yeah, we won. It's great because Heartland's pretty. It's a very specific. It sounds exactly what it is. It's
Okay.
it's for the Middle America. A lot of the film festivals are not for that.
Okay.
And so yeah, Heartland, but it's an Academy qualifying film festival, and we ended up winning the Audience Choice Award there, and then also the Jimmy Stewart Legacy Award. For anybody who knows Jimmy Stewart, it's kind of
So
in
this is the feeling of a wonderful life. Do we have any angels in it, or
Oh, I think there's angels everywhere, and they don't have wings. They got cheese heads on them. So
so you were there then? Then you was it Austin, Texas?
yeah, so then that was because we knew this would perform really well at Heartland because it's square in the crosshairs of our demographic. But when it went to Austin and we won Audience Choice Award there as well, which is another Academy qualifying film festival, we kind of knew that it actually shocked us. My brother called me. He's like, "You're not going to believe this," and so that was it. It dignified where the project had legs outside of just Midwestern, farmers and Packer fans. It was this actually is translating to more of an art house crowd as well who can palate a happy movie. So
Okay, take it. Huh?
yeah, big time.
So can you take a couple of minutes and
Mm,
just give me your elevator speech of the storyline of
mm.
Green and Gold?
Yeah, so it's really simple, and that was intentional, but it's a story of an old dairy farmer in Wisconsin who finds out that his little chunk of dirt, fourth generation farm's been taken by the bank, and he's not making his payments. And so his granddaughter, who's a musician, aspiring musician, living up in the loft of the barn, helps convince him to make a bet with the bank to extend the life of the loan if the Packers win the Super Bowl. And so the film, it on the surface has this kind of deal that these guys are working out with the bank, and then on the under the real um, the kind of the guts of the story is this family relationship, this grandfather granddaughter dynamic of how do you perceive this vocational work that's been around in our family for a long time. How do we think about it? How do we steward it? And then
farming in this case.
Farming in this case, yep. And then it's pitted kind of against the background of the Green Bay Packers, which is the only community-owned sports team in America, and that is symbolic of the greater community that these people find themselves in.
You don't have to tell me the end or the conclusion or anything. We'll hold that with it. Okay. We don't want to be a spoiler. Yes. But you went out and you looked for somebody to play this old man, right? An old guy. How old is he? Is he as old as I am?
He's I can't remember how old you are. When we filmed, he was 77.
Yeah, he's a kid. Let me just. And who did you get to do this?
So we got Craig T. Nelson, who is the voice of Mr. Incredibles. He's Coach from the show in the 90s. It's funny, a lot of the younger kids know him as Zeke from Parenthood and then young Sheldon, which I didn't realize, but school kids go bananas for this guy, which is funny because I always thought it was me and my parents that would go bananas for him. But yeah, we got it. Our casting directors, because we're an independent movie, barely funded. Yeah. And, they asked us who we wanted, and we said, we want Craig T. Nelson. And they laughed almost at us. And they said, okay, kind of graciously smiled and said, who else do you guys want? And we said, we want Craig. And they're like, okay, we'll graciously pass this along to his agent, but you better figure out who else you guys want.
You need a plan B.
Backup plan, yeah. But no kidding, the next day they called us back and they said, we cannot believe this, but he wants to talk to you guys. And so he read it, and honestly, on that call, he was interviewing us essentially. And but yeah, he signed up. He said, we're gonna figure this out. He's like, I read a lot of scripts, and he said this one kind of speaks to the language that I grew up with. It speaks to the values that I grew up with that I no longer see in the work that I do. And I want to help get this out into the world.
Wow. So you got Craig T. Nelson, you got Culver's Custard or whatever, Wisconsin, for this help put up some of the cash. You actually went to Green Bay recently, right?
Yeah. So we got the Packers as a partner too, which took 2 years to get. So
oh my goodness.
That was maybe the toughest part of the project.
You were there the first weekend in January when the Packers Bears played, correct? And did you preview the film? Did I hear that? You previewed the film?
We showed a couple scenes. So we did kind of a red carpet PR event. Craig flew out for it. He sang the national anthem at the Packers Bears game as kind of our PR stunt, which was a funny idea. That idea just kind of came to me, and I threw it out to the Packers, and they made him audition for it, which is his first audition he did in 45 years, I think. So, but it was, we had all the Packers executives out, and we had Culver's executives out, and we played for them kind of like a 20-minute version of the movie.
Yeah.
That was an out-of-body experience, I would say.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, for me, of course, I've known you now for some years, and I've known some of your in-laws and others here in the area. And by here in the area, I'm talking northern Colorado. So here we sit having this conversation. And a few days from now, I believe, this coming Friday, we're doing this. We're talking on a Sunday afternoon. And this coming Friday, your movie will be released at that time in how many theaters across the country?
It's almost 1,000 now. It might actually be over 1,000 because the Canada picked up like 100 theaters this last week on it. So
really, I thought, see, I'm way behind. The last I heard was 280 theaters. I thought that was a lot.
No, this whole thing, Dick, is so surprising to me.
It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It's talk about talk about a feeling of just like like I don't know how this happened fully. It's you're just stewarding what you have and doing the best you can. And then when our theater, our theatrical distributor sent it out, they're like, we don't really have a full gauge on how many people will accept this because it's a risk for each individual theater if they want to take up a screen to play it. And
Yeah.
when they sent us back the list, my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe it that everybody was interested in this thing. So
I think, aren't we in a day when people, it isn't just about a feel good movie. You can have an animation piece, and then it's a feel good movie. My favorite animated film, this shows how old I am, is Up,
okay.
because they got an old guy,
That opening 20 minutes is nasty good. Real good.
an old guy who goes up in a balloon or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But but this film, and I have not seen the film. I get to see the film this coming weekend. This film has a point that's about culture, that's about generations, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're desperate for value-centered things across the years in a time when there's such huge upheavals, so much uncertainty. And here's a film about uncertainty. How am I going to hang on to the farm? I guess that it's about that. And how to why do we place a bet on the Packers in the Super Bowl? I'm very excited to see this, and so I think I'm gonna check it out Saturday afternoon, and here in our area, and by our area I'm talking about the larger Fort Collins area. It's in Cinemark Theater, which is major. I mean, it's one of the major.
Yep.
These aren't little boutique art houses. These are money making places, and if it doesn't make a dollar, you're out in a day and a half, right? But
4 days. We got 4 days.
You got 4 days. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. I think to your point about I think what people, there's like a nostalgia people feel with it when they watch it, to again, sort of what Craig said, he's like, this reminds me of things that I grew up with and that I loved and have seen just that are gone in culture and gone in families and so I think it does speak to that. I think it represents and dignifies faith and spirituality in a way that isn't either hokey or overly, like evangelistic. I think it represents it pretty equitably, at least, and sophisticated compared, how I feel like my own spiritual life anyways. So I think people have responded to that. And then, I think it leaves people with a good reminder of hope and goodness. I think that's the other big thing that people have said over and over. It's, I think in the uncertain times, it's like you forget, you never know how the story ends, right? And I think in cinematic history, as cinema has gotten more and more towards this authenticity piece, they've leaned more and more into the dark, harder sides, which is but in that, I think they've forgot that there's so much beauty that happens every single day that we just can't forget about. Babies are born, all these wonderful miracles that we just encounter. Yeah. And that isn't Hallmark. That isn't cheesy or cheap. It's beautiful and true. So I think that's a big part of what happened here.
Well, to have a young guy, and I don't know how old you are now, but you're young.
38. Yeah.
How old are you?
38. Yeah.
Yeah. I can almost remember 38. And but to have a young guy brought up in UP, Michigan, up in that territory that makes real people, if you can survive, do a story from the territory, really. Green Bay, Wisconsin, not that far away, right? And to have it focus on the things that make life work and help people know who they are in the larger picture is just a wonderful gift to us. Thank you for all the years and the countless hours and
Mm.
all of the flying and the selling and the hoping and praying that has brought this to be. I just, for all of our listeners, which are across the country, I don't know how many thousands there are, but it's opening across the country and in Canada this coming weekend, January 31st, February 1st. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
And
Yeah. Yeah, it's oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to make a pitch and say, go see it, take your family, take the old ones and the young ones, and buy popcorn so that the place makes money and all of that. I just think that to have someone of your caliber and your roots with your lovely wife and your parents and in-laws and so forth, all cheering you on, yeah, and having gone through all that in order to come to this place is a wonderful thing. And I just hope that this thing is just stays for 40 weeks. I don't know that any movie stays for 40 weeks.
Maybe
Well,
just in Wisconsin, it'll
it's
stick
4 weeks, more than 4 weeks. And is there anything else you'd like to say to us as we sign off, or say to our partners and listeners out there?
No, I don't, I think it's in theaters. That was a real intentional choice that we wanted to and have been fighting for a long time to get it into theaters, because there is something, and actually Culver's was the one, their brand they came on after the movie was made, and they said, we really want people to get out of their homes and go see it, because there's something about getting out of our, little individual worlds and getting out and watching it together with other people that is sort of an intangible part of the film, like sort of what the film partly is, right?
Sure.
It's this. So I think if people have, I haven't been to a movie theater personally in a long time, outside of, screenings that we've done with our movie. And so I think it's a fun chance to get outside and yeah, hopefully, I think I would just share my gratitude for them supporting us. And there have been so many people who've just donated so many hours. And my mom was running movie posters, no kidding, down like an hour away to the neighboring town to drop off movie posters for us. It's just silly stuff like that it's homegrown and hopefully can connect to a lot of people and inspire folks. So,
well, here's to green and gold, and we will. I'm really looking forward to seeing it in a few days, and we hope all of you listening will go take your families, get after it, and thank you, Anders Lindwall, for just being who you are, dreaming the dream, going for it, and we get the benefit. So that's it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. Anders and I are out. All of you who are listening, thank you for doing that. And we just pray the Lord's best on you this week as we move toward February. It's hard to believe we're almost there. But here we are. This is Dick Foth signing off. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.